Charlton's Football Show.
What does your background with Melbourne tell you about this situation, Jack?
Well, Jeff, I would say that this is one of the greatest calamities that ever happened at Melbourne.
And I hope that wiser wisdom prevails and that Norm Smith is back in his rightful place as coach of the Melbourne Football Club.
Of all the thousands of sackings in a century of league football, the one that rocked Melbourne most was on a Friday night in 1965. Norman Smith, who'd coached Melbourne to 6 premierships in 11 years, received a note to say he'd been fired. Today, his name is honoured with the medal for Best Player in the Grand Final. But in the late 50s and early 60s, Norm Smith was the super coach.
Well, I suppose the sacking of Norm Smith was one of the biggest stories, sporting stories of the century. There's no question of it, because the man was unchallenged as the best football brain we had and with the best team, and they sacked him.
No one would come and tell me. Just a special messenger turned up and handed the letter, and I read the letter, and I would say that I was rather shocked.
Norm Smith was never one to humour committees, and he was neither the first nor last coach to feel the committee's axe. But he was responsible for the most potent force in post-war football.
He was a remarkable person, very determined. I think he had an effect on a lot of people's lives.
Norm and his astute brother Len were the tactical masters of the 50s, the influences who shaped Ron Barassi and a generation of coaches.
When I was captain and playing, I often used to spend some time after the match in the dark talking to Norm at the race. And one of the greatest things about Norm Smith was he wasn't secretive about his ideas.
Norm had learnt well from the great Checker Hughes, and blessed with a batch of fine young athletes, he developed a team for the wide open spaces of the Melbourne cricket ground. And Norm was uncompromising.
Hard but fair. He used to tell us that all the time, hard but fair, and we often, under our breath, used to add in a few adjectives there.
Melbourne's 55 premiership was overshadowed by the sonic boom which shattered the MCG that afternoon.
The kick towards the centre of the ground, and it was McLean, and also Healy went up. Healy got the ball away from him, tears around using terrific. Two players met solemnly.
The head-on clash when Melbourne reserved